Hello there, I'm Nick Forth from Game Watcher, and this is our preview of 70s heist 'em up Crookz.
Oh my. Let me help.
So Crookz casts you as a funky band of 1970s thieves who infiltrate various tightly secured locations to steal the valuable goods within. It's an isometric strategy game with a focus on stealth and tactics rather than gunfights and fisticuffs. The game's version of 1970s America has all the glitz and cheesy glamour of the period, with little of the grime. You won't kill anyone and your objectives are all charmingly quaint. Steal a suitcase of money from these bad mafia guys to convince them to hire you for a big job, or steal a cargo container without alerting any guards. There's none of the sleaze you'd see in something like the 1980s set Vice City, and that works to the game's advantage. It's a nice light-hearted change of pace from your usual crime capers. Though you can headbutt a guard unconscious if your party's packing a bruiser character. That's about as mean-spirited as things get. So you control an eclectic group of ne'er-do-wells, from disco-fabulous speedster Cleopatra to a stragglehead lockpicking expert and a burly bruiser who specialises in the aforementioned headbutting guards unconscious. Each starts with a unique skill and gains 2 more as you progress through the game. You'll be able to choose up to 4 of these rogues to take into each level, and the game's designed so that every combination is viable. You won't get stuck because you didn't take a technician, even if he would have given you an easy route to bypass that patrol. So onto the game itself. The campaign's split into chapters with 1 main heist and 2 smaller ones you can complete to earn some cash before your bigger task. The developer skill tree is giving players plenty of opportunity to plan their heists. You'll get a pre-mission screen that allows you to scout every aspect of your target zone before going in, checking which switches power which objects, noting patrol routes for the various guards, and locating the mission objectives. You can toggle the planning screen to only show certain objects, so there's never too much information to process at any one time. Not that Crookz forces you to get all criminal mastermind if you don't want to. The developers want to make sure you can play to your tastes. If you're the casual type, you can jump in and play pretty much in real time, helter-skeltering across the map by the skin of your teeth. Or if you think you're in Ocean's 11 or something, you can plan each heist in intricate detail, pausing the game to issue exact instructions and timing each move with exacting precision. You can set waypoints on the map for each task, either letting the action play out immediately or staggering it to get the timing right. Let's say there's a guard outside the door you're about to pick. So you set up a chain of commands: lockpick door, step up to guard, knock him out, hit the mains power switch and get back through the door. Once the guard in question steps away and turns his back to you, 1 click will set that entire plan into motion. So while the game's not exactly turn-based, you do have the opportunity to plan your moves and be a bit more careful than if you were playing strictly in real time. Of course, the quieter you are, the better. The lockpicker, for example, is a valuable member of the team because he's great at silently getting past heavily guarded doors. Without him, you might be forced into bringing along a crowbar, which is a single-use item, just as fast, but it's a great deal noisier. Your frantic banging marks out a sound cone, and if any guards wander into that, they'll investigate the commotion. You do have to think about all these things, but Crookz doesn't seem like an intimidatingly difficult game. Guards are alert, but not too vicious, so knock them on the head or chloroform them, and they'll stay out for a while, then get back to their feet and wander around just slightly more suspiciously, rather than doing the sensible thing and calling in 36 heavily armed mob goons. I'm sure later levels will be more difficult, but at the moment the challenge seems to be getting a high score rather than progressing past the level itself. It's not too tricky and the guards can be outsmarted rather easily. I only saw a brief session of Crookz, but it looks like it will have a great deal of lo-fi charm. I like the 70s setting, which brings to mind the cheerful cheesiness of something like Evil Genius, and the basics of manoeuvring your team through the various challenges in each sizable map looks fun. I didn't get to see many toys, but Skilltree mentioned such intriguing prospects as a toy robot you can use to distract guards, to explosive charges to blow up tightly secured doors. We're also promised some increasingly outlandish heists to take part in. You start out robbing lavish penthouses and grubby dockside warehouses, but Skilltree mentioned that later missions feature such intriguing backdrops as a military submarine and a nuclear power plant. I only saw some early missions that could be completed with a few well-placed chloroform handkerchiefs and a bit of electrical sabotage, but apparently these later levels will pack in more dangerous, skilled guards and more complex objectives. So Crookz looks like it will be a charming, not too tricky strategy title with a very cool setting that stands out from your usual grim, realistic fare. It's not big budget showy stuff, but the lo-fi visuals and overall scrappy nature actually add to the charm rather than detract from it. If developer Skilltree can add some more variety over the course of its 20 single player missions, this could end up being a memorable little crone caper.